go ahead. You're still muted.
Okay, how about that? Can you everybody hear me now? Excellent. I'm really glad to be here with everyone. I hope you've been well up to this point of your day. I haven't read any news today, so I'm not exactly up on the current edge of what's unfolded in our in our world, in our society, but I just want to let you know that I am someone that does pay attention, and when we have spaces like this, fortunately, we do have spaces like this where we can come and endeavor to reset and really come back to the present moment with some degree of success in terms of what that is. Um, I pay attention because there's just a lot happening in the world, and there's a lot of harm happening in the world. And if you've been a meditation practitioner for any amount of time, you will probably have become aware that non-harming is one of the foundational principles of mindful awareness. So it's just kind of ironic that, we're coming from this window of seeing so much happening in the world where harm is taking place, and then we have to kind of retreat back, fortunately, to this lunchtime mindfulness sponsored by Big Bear to regather ourselves and recollect. So I want to thank you for your presence. I want to thank you for your time here. As Andy mentioned, I am a mindfulness meditation teacher. I went through training at Spirit Rock back in 2015 through something that they call the Community Dharma Leader Training Program. From that, in that window of time, from 2015 to 2018, I completed Spirit Rock. I went through the Sati Center Buddhist chaplaincy training with Gil Fronsdal. I co-founded a Sangha in the city of Richmond, California, Northern California, called Insight Richmond, and it's still going today. It's just a nice little community gathering. And then in 2018, I came to Los Angeles to come into alignment with Inside LA and Trudy Goodman and Spring Washam and so forth. So I've just been in LA ever since. I rode through the pandemic. I rode through the fires here. And yeah, it's been an experience. And I've been safe and protected from harm and danger the whole time. So these meta phrases and these good intentions that we are cultivating, I think that we see the fruit of those efforts and that labor that we put into learning these things. And I hope that you and yours are safe at this time and that you will continue to experience safety. And again, I just want to thank you for being here. I'd like to also mention that my meditation style is something that I'm often trying to just really utilize the present moment to introduce and to give everyone some sort of an access point, regardless of your level of experience, regardless of your environment. And I try to create a space where everyone can have some increased likelihood of experiencing something similar, even though we're all in separate locations. Is there anyone here, if by a raise of hands, who's not here in California? Okay. Anyone who's out of the country, not in the United States at all? There you go. Jennifer, I see you. Thank you. Thank you. So it's probably late at night where you are, Jennifer, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully this will help you sleep. So, I'd like to introduce a period of silent observation and meditation by just inviting everyone to use the sense door of your hearing. And this is designed We're doing this just to familiarize or refamiliarize ourselves with our actual environment. And at the same time, you may be able to notice the body subtly shifting into a lower gear. If you need to lie down or adjust your posture, please do that with full permission. I just want you to pay attention to listening. And allow your ears to be your eyes for a moment. And through this sonic observation, we can begin to detect things that are in our periphery within the walls of our space. Machines and gadgets, pets, or even people, neighbors. I want to invite you just to observe these other objects that are in your space as signs of life. There may be a fly in one of your homes, sitting on a window, buzzing around. That's a sign of life too. And it's something that's just trying to live its life. And by allowing ourselves to observe the other forms of life happening around us, we can renew our perception about equanimity or the willingness to coexist with other beings, other conditions. And there is a tension involved with coexistence. But keeping your air pathways open and allowing the fresh oxygen to cycle through helps us to maintain some equilibrium as we listen. There may be signs of life that you're detecting outside of the walls of your space, which may be represented by car exhaust or traffic or a public municipal transit of some sort, footsteps on the sidewalk. can you coexist with these other forms of life? Keeping your air pathways open and as fluid as possible. We're going to make a subtle transition from listening into feeling and bringing our awareness in towards the core of our body and observing the energy that is flowing in our body in various directions, various temperatures, various types of impulses, but just behold the signs of life happening within you. Keeping your air pathways open. This dimension in the Pali is called Vedanas, or feeling tones. They're mostly intangible, but they're very impactful. Vedanas also are inclusive of emotions and even the mood that you arrived at this sit in. Please allow yourself to adapt by adjusting your posture if you need to adapt to the dynamics of your own personal Vedana. Listening deeply and beginning to feel deeply. And we're going to fold in a third dimension, which is the actual vessel that we are in, which is the body itself. Allowing yourself to trace out your own silhouette of your body from your head to the neck, the shoulders, and just taking full account that you are present in physical form in the space that you're in. And as you observe this outline, one of the most important things that we can observe that may be useful is the element of space that is actually around us. There's space in front of our nose and eyes. There's space behind our head and to the side. There's space in the periphery of our shoulders and back. If you felt crowded today or overwhelmed, I want you just to remember that there is space and then make yourself available to that space that surrounds you. Let it work for you. There's space in between your fingers. Avail yourself to this element of space as you listen and as you feel and as you heal. Allowing the oxygen to come in and out as it wants to, as often as it wants to. And then this fourth dimension that we will transition to, it is called the mind, the epicenter of thoughts and thinking activity. And I want you to approach it carefully with a keen observation of just looking at it, depersonalizing its activity. And as you observe the mind, if it's offering anything, I want to invite you to access your own wisdom and your own sense of discernment and to investigate the mind by asking one question. Is the mind producing anything at all that is relevant to this present moment? Or is it just trying to bait me? Can I use my agency to discern the actual nature of this component of myself, the mind, by asking, is there anything that's relevant to this moment? Keeping your air pathways open. We're going to descend into the area that is known as the heart, which may be the center of your being, somewhere in the vicinity of in between your shoulders and your abdomen. And if you want to place a hand somewhere in this vicinity or two and just feel yourself, to reconnect with yourself. The heart speaks languages of the unknown, and so it communicates more by feeling. And other ways that come through our physiology. But I just want to ask you just to be with it for a moment. At times it seems but that both our compassion and our fears arise out of the heart. And it's a complexity that we don't need to completely understand now. But I want to just invite you to see if you can allow yourself the presence and the patience just to feel how your heart is doing. And you may be able to say that in spite of it all, I've been safe. I have been safe from external and internal harm. I have lived with good health and some elements of joy and ease. These are not foreign to me, even though they may not be here in abundance. I can say with gratitude that at this moment, I can fully account for myself in my current state. And for this, I'm grateful. And we're going to make an exit by transitioning back into an awareness of our feeling tones, noting if it's any different on this revisitation. Has there been any furniture rearranged, as Rumi would say, in the guest house? And we will make our final exit back through the doorway that we came in, which is through our sense door of hearing. And allow yourself to reemerge into your space sonically. And by observing how you are relating to the signs of life going on around you, maybe an enemy has become a friend. Maybe something that was an annoyance has become a little more accepting. And I'd like a collective agreement for a deep breath together on the count of three to close out our practice. And I'll count us off. One, two, three, and inhale and release. And as you transition from your introspection back to the community, move with a sense of wanting to stay connected to your practice. As you open your eyes, I want to thank you for your practice, everyone. Our practice is supposed to be different every time we venture into it because we're changing all the time. So there should be some things being rearranged and stuff not being where we thought we put it the last time as we go in and observe our space. And in a way, in a kind of practical way, it's kind of like mindfulness is kind of like a form of housekeeping, you know. It's required maintenance to keep things orderly and hospitable. And hopefully less hostile, you know. It can be a hostile environment, mindfulness. And we all know that too. But I want to encourage you just to take more full ownership, understanding that this is your domain and not allowing our mind and our emotions to, uh, to occupy this space that we have as if it's not our own. And that takes some courage and some persistence and practice. Hmm. Andy, do we ever allow for a break here? Or I don't know if it's permissible. Does anybody need to get some water or anything like that for like 2 minutes? Is that cool? Let's do a 2 minute break.
Yeah.
Just 2 minutes.
And I would just invite if during this time, if anyone wants to share in the chat how that was for them or what you're bringing to the space today. I'd love to hear from you.
So I'm observing your chat conversations and I appreciate your feedback there. Thank you so much. And I want to just thank you for taking up this practice in the first place. Um, for whatever reason you felt it necessary to begin a meditation practice. But more importantly, I want to thank you for your presence here at this lunchtime meditation with Big Bear. I really appreciate it. I usually don't meet with this many people at this time of day, so like, yeah, thank you so much. Um, as stated in my bio, I kind of self-identify as a contemplative artist, which kind of on one hand just means I think about a lot of things. But I think what makes the thinking aspect of my experience more expansive is that I allow my mind to kind of run without a leash sometimes for periods of time. I'm not trying to restrain it a lot. Sometimes it finds some things I'm not ready for, and sometimes it kind of allows me to recapture something that I forgot, and something that needs my attention, and something that I can probably begin to revisit and work on at a time when I was first introduced to the thought or the idea where I wasn't mature enough and I didn't have enough experience to actually be able to stay with it. So, the mind stores a lot of things, as you know, and I've become more friends with my mind over time. And now I can find things there, and I can find that it's offering me things there that could be for other people's benefit, which is one of the reasons, how over time I've gained the trust of teachers and institutions and stuff like that to come and share my thoughts and ideas. Um, there's one element that I've been thinking about today, which is around the topic of ethics. And ethics, for a lot of us who visit meditation centers, we're kind of revisiting or being reintroduced to ethics by way of the precepts. The precepts is that list of 5 guidelines that people agree to so that they can live together peacefully in a retreat center for, 3 to 7 to 30 days or so. Um, in my experience as a meditation practitioner and as a student of the Dharma, I found myself kind of ignoring precepts. I won't say ignoring them, but I become a little over familiarized with them, where it's like, don't take what doesn't belong to you, don't harm someone, don't make unwanted advances, don't do this, don't do that. And after over 10 years of that, I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm not going to do that. You can trust me. I got my little stamp right here, my badge, you know what I mean? And so we all have those experiences where we become very familiar with content, like with how something's going to go, particularly at a retreat. And it's let me pull up a note here that I wanted to use as a reference. In the Pali, the word our concept of ethics comes from a word called sila, which translates to ethical conduct, ethical behavior. And sila is defined as an internal, aware, and intentional ethical behavior according to one's own commitment to the path of liberation. So it's internal, it's aware, And it's intentional ethical behavior that's based on one's commitment to the path of liberation. And it's also described as an ethical compass within oneself and relationships. And so that launched me into looking deeper into, okay, ethics is not only defined in my relationship to other people, because the precepts are pretty much are kind of like framed around my relationship to other people and respecting other people's boundaries and so forth. And so I was like, okay, I get that. And um, deeper explorations into ethics, I began to look at, okay, so what is happening when I feel a sense of respect for my own ideas? When I'm growing and maturing in a way where my thoughts, I'm starting to see the value of my thoughts, although they can be random. There's some that are very persistent and valuable, and they also inform my conduct and behavior. Um, so what I'm kind of the umbrella that I'm looking at here is ethics, but it is intellectual ethics. It's intellectual integrity. And so the questions I've asked is, how do I hold this container upon which all of my ideas and creativity and imagination emerge from? How do I hold myself in relationship to community when I see myself more and more as like a greenhouse of where my practice, the fruits of my practice are growing, from where the harvest of my efforts and labor are kind of contained? What kind of respect do I have for the work that I'm doing in an ethical context, from a place of integrity? How well do I respect my own practice? What kind of ethical relationship do I have to myself, where my practice and my effort and my struggle and my suffering and everything that I'm applying to become that mindful person, how well am I, how good of a steward am I in relationship to myself in that where that's concerned? So a few days ago, I was at Jack and Trudy Goodman's 80th birthday, and they had a celebration at a Presbyterian church down in Santa Monica that they always do it at, and it was great. And I was listening to some of the iconic senior teachers of this Insight tradition, and they were kind of going back and forth about how different, not Jack and Trudy, but there were some other senior teachers that are having conversations, and they were sharing quotes, and they're like, "Yeah, I shared that quote before," and so on and so forth. And one of the most senior teachers said, "Yeah, our lineage is known as a lineage of thieves." Everybody kind of takes everybody's stuff and whatnot and so forth. And I laughed at that, but it also helped me to see like why I hear so many of the same things in different places. Like if you go to Spirit Rock, you might hear a poem that you heard at IMS, or you might hear a poem that you heard at Big Bear or something like that. And I'm like, I get that, and I feel like there is within all of us, and I'm mainly speaking about my own experience, but I feel like there is the potential for me to offer something different, for my Dharma teaching to have a little bit of a different flavor. It's going to have the same objective, but I'm a unique person, and all of us here are unique people, but I just haven't seen much of a apparatus or framework for you to really grow and cultivate the unique person that you are as a practitioner, with the ideas that you have, with the vision that you have. If it's not mirrored back to you in some way, shape, or form, you're not going to be as encouraged to pursue the the full fruition or the full manifestation of that aspect of yourself. And so when I look at ethics, when I look at integrity, I look at the importance of, number one, of being able to discern in the mind, like, what's the difference between some random thought coming through from the past that I know so well, and what's a new idea? How can I discern something that is a value that's arising in the mind and something that's just some old tape running from, for forever? So this is one area of the practice that I would like to invite and encourage you to look at, particularly if you're someone that does have this kind of gnawing itch around, bringing something into the world. Not everybody does that. But if you are one that's really kind of inspired by good ideas, you very well may be a vessel that's receiving things that your mindfulness practice is saying, no, we can't have any of that stuff here. And you're just kind of blocking it all out. So there's over time a need to really be able to sharpen our discernment on what is really of value in terms of thoughts and what is just, some rerun. Taking that thought, let's say you find one, I would say, and this is going to be a little touchy, I encourage, and my practice is reflected by allowing myself to become an incubator for that thought, an airtight incubator. In other words, this incubator being airtight means that I'm not going to share it with people before it's time. A greenhouse, it protects the little plantlings and the seedlings from the elements and the birds that would swoop down and eat it. The greenhouse is a protection facility so that things can grow and flourish. And I want to just suggest to you that each one of us has the potential to be a greenhouse for our ideas and dreams, if you will, hopes, things that only you can really be able to express or articulate at some future time. But to meet that future time, there needs to be a willingness to be a steward over your ideas. And that looks like not sharing your idea or making it public prematurely. This is an element of ethics and integrity about what's being gifted to you, especially within a lineage of thieves. So do you kind of get what I'm saying here? An ethic, a commitment to ethical conduct in relationship to oneself means that you respect and that you will protect and guard and nurture the thoughts, the ideas, the plans that you have because you really believe that they have the potential to provide a full manifestation at a future point. But I want to just encourage you to take those things a little more seriously. See yourself with a greater degree of value so that you can look at what is being gifted to you that could very well be for the benefit of many other people. But in order for that to be realized, we need to be able to hold our ideas as secrets for a period of time. And if it's poetry, if it's if it's a book you're writing, if it's something that you just want to rehearse, or even if it's a poem from somebody else and you really like that poem and you want to be able to share this poem at some point in the future, I would even say, even then, commit it to memory. Allow that person's words and ideas to really become a part of your living memory, embodying, so that when you do get that chance to share it, it comes out so vividly. This is something that more, I would say it's more of an experienced practitioner kind of thing, but it's really a childlike thing, honestly. And it's just something that you want to know and something that you want to live with. And this is just a brief little snapshot sketch that I'm sharing with you about another aspect of ethical conduct in relationship to yourself. And that's all I want to share with you today at this lunchtime mindfulness. Andy, thank you for your time and thank you all for your presence and your participation.
We'll go ahead and open it up for some reflections if anyone wants to share in the last few minutes here. Victoria, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you, Big Bear Retreat Center. You're my North Star these days. And thank you so much, Thomas. This is
Who is talking? I can't. Oh, okay. Here we are.
Victoria.
Victoria. Thank
Yeah,
you,
hi,
Victoria.
I'm
I heard
Victoria.
a voice, but I couldn't see
Oh,
any lips moving.
voice from beyond. I can open my mouth more widely if you.
Thank you. I see you now.
Okay. Anyway, this is the first time I'm hearing you, Thomas, and it's fantastic. Now I want to do a deep dive to find out more about you. I heard a lot of triggering, I mean, positively triggering words. Artist, contemplative. I'm in music and art history and literature.
Oh,
Um,
beautiful.
Unfortunately, I wasn't gifted with the creative gift. So I have the interpretive gift, you could say, um, but which also, I guess, plays a role. But so I have a million things I want to thank you for and ask you and everything, but I know we have very limited time and probably other people want to share. I have one tiny question from the meditation today, something I've never heard before in a guided meditation about the airwaves. And it's kind of, it's amazing because last night when I was trying to sleep, I kept feeling that my nasal passages were blocked, and I was thinking how important airwaves are, and then to hear it in the context of a meditation is really profound because I also have issues with longstanding hypervigilance and from childhood trauma and things like that. So just because everyone else, I mean, talk about the Society of Thieves. I've never heard airways before, so that's a really novel thing for me. People I say, "Oh, breathe deeply," but it was so specific, and I really appreciate that. I just wondered if you could elaborate a little more on that. Thank you.
Well, when I think we were talking, I was trying to articulate air pathways. Yeah, so it's just another way of saying breathing, and it's just something spontaneous. I haven't like researched it or read a book about it or anything. I'm not really interested in too many other people's ideas. Partly because I'm invested in really listening to what's coming through me. It's not to disrespect anyone, but I'm finding myself trusting myself in the moment to utilize different phrases and things that are still pointing people in the same direction, but maybe lands differently so that you can kind of just find your cruising altitude. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Yeah, of course I meant air pathway.
That's what people expect you to say is, okay, now breathe. You know what I mean? It's just, we all know, you know what I mean? But it's fine. It's cool. I'm glad it worked for you.
Yeah, no, I just think it's really profound because I think language gets so hackneyed and overused. And I've been hearing people tell me to breathe for years, and the word has lost its power for me personally.
Yeah.
Just like people saying love, 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 or there's so many words that are overused, and then when we really need to use them or want to use them in a powerful way, it's like they're already kind of faded and worn out. So I just wanted to thank you for that. I have a million other questions, but I'm going to defer to other
It's,
people.
it's okay. I really appreciate your time, Victoria. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, sir, go ahead. Bye.
Isra.
Hi, everyone. My name is Esra. Thank you, Thomas.
Hey, Ezra.
Um, I want to express gratitude for a message that I don't think I've ever heard articulated in that way. And so you're modeling the very thing you're asking us to do, obviously, but really beautiful, the reframing around um, internal process that sometimes can feel personally like frustrating. Why are things taking so long? Or this kind of impatience or eagerness to learn by processing with others and to frame it as an ethical call, a stewardship of self, or for all the late bloomers that I work with or that I may be myself in certain domains of just it's a really powerful reframe, a different angle, a different I you've helped me to now kind of look at something that I've been trying to do from a different angle in a different angle. So, big gratitude for that. And yeah, nice opportunity for slowing down, and it embodies the practice too, I think. Thank you.
Well, Ezra, I just want to say that these might be more relevant now that we're all living in something that's called an attention economy, where you don't even get, 5 minutes to think about your own stuff. You know what I mean? So it's kind of I don't want to say a revolt, but it's a response to people needing so much of your attention and time, and it takes away from our attention and time of being stewards of what we've been given to address these times. You know what I'm saying? And not everybody's going to be happy with the decisions you make to be a steward of your own stuff. I'm just going to, people aren't going to celebrate that because it means that they can't have your time whenever they want.
Well, but then hopefully they'll value it when they have it, and they'll value themselves,
One
hopefully.
day they will. But it doesn't have to be, you don't have to hurry up to do that. They can wait.
All right, everybody. Thank you so very much. I'm just going to actually stop the live stream here and take us back